Now joining us on the hotline is the TV play-by-play voice of the New York Hockey Rangers on MSG, and that's Sam Rosen. Sam, it's Zach and Chase here in Philly. How are you?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm a Rangers fan, so I'm feeling good. My co-host is a Flyers fan, so he's not feeling too hot today. But last night, the Rangers came out. They dominated early. The Flyers get a quick goal. Then all of a sudden, we go through the second period. Rangers continue to play an excellent brand of hockey, but couldn't get anything going on the stat sheet. And then the third period, that double minor occurred, and the whole game just changed from there.
Yeah, Zach, there are a few points to look at. I think the Rangers had puck possession in the first period, even in the second period. Flyers were able to hold them off. Ray Emery did a good job in goal, but I think the Rangers did what they did most effectively is they made the Flyers defend. They took the Flyers' top offensive players out of the game and out of the flow of their game. Claude Giroux was not a big factor. Wayne Simmonds wasn't a big factor. Jake Voracek wasn't a big factor. So I think the Rangers made the Flyers defend, and the good offensive defensemen that the Flyers have in Stride and McDonald, even though McDonald did score the goal in that first period, and Kimmo Timonen, those guys were kept quiet by the Rangers having puck possession and most of the play being in the Flyers' zone. And then I think the penalty kill by the Rangers early in the third period on the Flyers' power play was very effective, put the Flyers more on the defensive, and I think it gave the Rangers a lot of control of the game, and eventually they broke through on the power play on the double minor.
The stats are just so alarming in the last 9 games at MSG. We've been talking about them all week. Flyers are 0-9, been outscored 35-10 after last night. Claude Giroux in 5 games this year at the world's most famous arena only has 4 shots and 2 assists. Why do the Flyers struggle so much in this building?
It's hard to explain. I talked to some of the Rangers about the way the season series went, and basically what you hear from some of the players is that the Flyers just seem to be, for whatever reason, less aggressive on the road at MSG than they are at home. That playing down in Philly in the building there, the Flyers are much more aggressive. They keep coming at you. They're much more physical, feed off the crowd. But at MSG, they just seem to be less so, just almost trying to play more of a safe game than anything else. So it's hard to pick out any reason. I thought the Flyers' approach to the game last night was good. We talked with Craig Berube in the morning. He talked about being smart. The players talked about playing a smart game, playing between the whistles, not taking bad penalties, and yet late in the game, they wound up in the third period taking bad penalties. So it's hard to say why the Flyers have had this lack of success at the Garden, but it's there. The players, reporters keep referring to it. The players keep having to answer questions about it. So it's certainly something that's weighing on their minds.
We're spending a few minutes with Sam Rosen. Sam, it's Chase. Thanks for hopping on with us. Ray Emery starting. Obviously, Steve Mason's injury was big to this team, and I don't think Ray Emery did a bad job, but a lot of those goals came off the rebound. Were those some shots that you thought Ray Emery could have swallowed, or is there nothing that he could do on some of those goals?
Some of them were tough. You look at the first goal by Zuccarello. He gets a shot off. Brassard is standing to the side of the crease trying to screen the goaltender. There's a rebound there. None of the defensemen see it. Zuccarello hops by the defenseman, gets there first, and puts it in. So can you blame Ray Emery on that? No. On the power play, the great pass from Brad Richards to Derek Stepan. Tough to blame Ray Emery on that. The Rangers moved the puck beautifully, went side to side. Forsyth had the diagonal from the right point down to the left side, the right-handed shot. Stepan one-times it. You can't blame Ray Emery on that. So, no, I think Ray Emery did a solid job. I think the Rangers respect him as a goaltender. I don't think Ray Emery is a big drop-off. They know he's played In big games, he's a competitor. I thought, when you look at it through two periods, what's the score? It's 1-1. He's done his job, especially with the Rangers having the big edge in shots on goal. So, no, I think Ray Emery did a good job. Again, giving the Rangers the power play opportunity. Flyers not capitalizing early in the third period on their power play. Those were big factors in the game.
The Flyers played a lot of dump and chase hockey last night, and that's not necessarily their style, given that they are pretty deep and have a lot of goal scorers on that team. Do you think that they got a little complacent and too fancy at times last night?
Complacent? I don't think complacency enters in when you're talking playoffs. Chase, you look at the Flyers, their strength is being physical. If they're going to beat the Rangers, they have to be physical and they have to be smart, but they have to stay with the physical game. That's been their approach when they've beaten the Rangers. I think that's when they're the most successful, when they're aggressive on the forecheck, when they're pounding the defense and creating space out in front and being tough around the net with Simmonds and Hartnell and players like that, and even you can throw in Zach Rinaldo. When those guys are around the net and creating havoc for the defense, that's when they're at their best. So I wouldn't say complacency in there at all. I think part of it was a feeling out process in that first game, seeing how the Rangers would play, but the Rangers' defensive style is get the puck and move it quickly, get it out of the zone quickly. Most teams want to do that. And I think the Flyers need to, in my opinion, looking at the way the Flyers play, they just have to keep physically hitting the Rangers.
We all know that you love saying it's a power play goal when you're calling the Rangers games, and over the years, especially in the playoffs, you haven't been able to say those words too much. You got to say it twice last night, and I've been saying this all year with AV and his new coaching staff, that the passing has improved vastly on the power play. Do you agree with that?
I think it's, you could say that, but I think it's finding the right mix. There was a period of time when the power play moved up from around 20th, the high teens, into 6th in the league. It dropped off during the latter stages of the regular season, but it's dangerous. They have some really good players, and I think everybody's trying to fit into the role. After the trading deadline and acquiring Marty St. Louis, they try to fit him in and find the best spot for him. Now, Brad Richards and Ryan McDonough have been the point men, and they're out there. Richards is out there usually 90 seconds, so they got him to shoot more. That was something that they wanted to work on all season long, is getting the puck and shooting more, so he's more of a threat. McDonough, they incorporated into the power play this year because he does have a good shot, and he can skate the puck out of his own zone, so the Rangers can get good entries into the offensive zone. Rick Nash has been used to playing on the half board and then coming off the boards and going into the slot. Now he's the man in front of the goaltender looking for rebounds or coming off to get passes from behind the net. The man on the half boards now is Marty St. Louis, who's an excellent playmaker. Stepan, who's the centerman, is the right-handed shot, but also a creative centerman. The second unit with Brassard, Zuccarello, and Pouliot. Brassard and Zuccarello, very good playmakers. So, yes, the passing is a big factor, but I think it's the combination, keeping those combinations together and finding the right roles for the people involved that's really helped the Rangers power play.
We're talking to the TV play-by-play voice of the New York Rangers on MSG. That's Sam Rosen. Rangers take the 1-0 lead last night at the world's most famous arena. And, Sam, we were talking to John Van Beesbrook the other day, and I told him Wayne Simmonds needs to come and play in this series if the Flyers are going to want to have a chance to win this one and win some games at Madison Square Garden, because you need him to have that big physical presence in front to distract Henrik Lundqvist. How important is it that they get Wayne Simmonds going in Game 2?
Oh, I totally agree with you, Zach. I mean, Wayne Simmonds is a big factor. The games in Philadelphia where the Flyers have won, he's been tough to control. Again, it goes to what I mentioned earlier, being physical around the net. That's his presence. He's got that long, lean body with the big the long arms, able to reach pucks, get rebounds, deflect pucks. He is tough to handle around the net, and he's always been tough for everybody. 29 goals this season. He's an outstanding player, and when he's involved physically, he is tough to handle. So that's part of what I mentioned before, is sustaining that physical play for the Flyers if they're going to be successful. And Wayne Simmonds is one of those guys. He's one of the most dangerous players that they have, and certainly he was kept quiet by the Rangers last night.
The Rangers dominated the possession of the puck throughout the duration of the game. The Flyers really struggled to get pucks on net. It seemed as though every time a Flyers offensive player crossed the blue line, they were met immediately by a Rangers defender. How impressed were you with the Rangers' defensive effort, Sam?
Oh, very, very impressed. As I said, I think there was good coverage. The man-to-man coverage was solid in front of the net. Not a lot of pucks got through. There was good shot blocking from the Rangers. Yeah, that's what you need to be successful. And I think with the Rangers' defense, I think part of the success that they had all season long is having balanced pairs. Now, later on, at the latter stages of the season, Ryan McDonough was out with an injury, but when they have their three pairs set, it's something that Alain Vigneault likes. He's got his three left defensemen, his three right defensemen. There's good balance. There's good puck support. The defensemen work very cohesively. That pair of McDonough and Girardi have been outstanding. Now, last night was McDonough's first game back since being injured in the game in Colorado on their late season road trip early in April. So he had missed a couple of weeks and was a little rusty. So you saw in the first period Stahl move up with Girardi. That's the big three for the Rangers. Girardi, McDonough, and Stahl. They can rotate those three, play them in any combination, and they are outstanding defenders. The other players that fit in very nicely. The third defensive pair, John Moore, who's got good skating ability, good shot from the point, can get the puck out of the zone, with Kevin Klein, who's a steady, veteran, solid defenseman. Strawman plays with Stahl normally, so you got that, again, a guy who's got a good first pass, but there's a lot of balance on defense. They play very well together, communicate very well, and they've been tremendously effective.
Watching Rangers playoff hockey over the years, the lack of goal production has hurt them in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it's put a lot of pressure on Henrik Lundqvist. We know he's won a Vezina. He has over 300 wins. He has the most shutouts in Rangers history, and people are waiting for him to go on his Stanley Cup playoff run like Richter did back in '94. How much pressure is on the King, though, in these Stanley Cup playoffs?
I don't know if there's. I don't think there's an abnormal amount of pressure. You've got the fact that he is the backbone of the team. The Rangers team begins with Henrik Lundqvist. They need him to be to play at an elite level, and he usually gives them that kind of play. He's a great competitor. He focuses very well. He prepares very well. I don't think there's any more pressure on him than there is on any goaltender for the top teams around the league in the playoffs. You need, and we saw it already in the first games. You go around, you see a lot more goals were scored than you usually see in some of these playoff games. But you had Columbus's Bobrovsky gave up 4 goals. You had 5 goals given up in a couple of the games. So you need the really good goaltending to go a long way in the playoffs. Henrik Lundqvist certainly knows that, but I don't think there's more pressure on him than anyone else. He wants to be there. He knows he's got to be the leader of the team if the Rangers are going to make a run.
Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia, on the way out here with Sam Rosen. And Sam, you were in the building last night. You were calling the game. After the game, did you get any indication that Steve Mason's going to start Game 2 on Sunday?
No, I really didn't. I think it's hard. Here's a guy who's been out now for a little bit of time with the injury suffered the next to last game of the season. So I think he's got to be back with the team, get some practices in. And maybe there might have been a little more pressure pressure to get him in there. If Ray Emery had troubles, but I didn't think Ray Emery was the negative factor in the game. So it wouldn't surprise me if Ray Emery is in goal Sunday afternoon and Mason then comes back later on. But again, they're very closed-mouthed about the injuries. Certainly what Craig Berube has said is that he's been getting better each day. So if they feel he gets a couple of practices in today, tomorrow, he might be back in there. Certainly Ray Emery did his job last night.
Sam, enjoy Game 2. We appreciate the minutes. Enjoy the rest of the series, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Guys, thanks for having me on. My pleasure.
Sam Rosen right there of MSG. We'll take a quick break here on the main event, and we'll be back right after these short messages.